In July of 2024, Taylor Tomassina Angelis was arrested in Pompano Beach, Florida, on charges of aggravated assault with the intent to commit a felony and armed burglary of a dwelling, structure, or conveyance. The particulars of the case weren't immediately disclosed by media outlets. 21-year-old Angelis was a rapper and an OnlyFans model under the moniker Baby Joker. She had over 150,000 followers on Instagram alone, and her social media content included semi-nude photos as well as her posing with guns, cash, and alongside luxury vehicles. Angelis had multiple tattoos which were visible in her mugshot photo. They included a Medusa head on her neck and the words "damaged" and "pain" above each eyebrow. At the time of her latest arrest, the young woman had a pending hit-and-run case from an incident in Sunrise that dated back to May the 3rd of 2024. While driving a friend's Tesla with a suspended license, Angelis switched lanes and collided with a Hyundai Elantra. She kept driving, but the victim followed her, got the tag, and called the police. No injuries were reported, but arresting officers noted that the collision had damaged the Tesla's front bumper and fender. Number 13. Malyra Pineda. In March of 2025, Malyra Pineda was arrested following a lengthy standoff with law enforcement in El Paso, Texas. Pineda was wanted on a personal recognizance bond revocation warrant for continuous violence against the family. It stemmed from a 2024 incident, the details of which weren't disclosed, and her bond had been set at $50,000. She also had 2 active probation criminal warrants for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle with no bond and DWI with a $12,000 bond. After Pineda was tracked down to the 6900 block of Escondido Drive, she reportedly refused to surrender, resulting in a tense standoff with law enforcement. She was, however, ultimately arrested without incident and booked at the El Paso County Jail. Number 12. Cindy Leon. In the early hours of March the 2nd of 2025, Chicago law enforcement responded to reports of a shooting in the 6200 block of South Artisan Avenue. Shortly before 6 a.m., officers found 23-year-old Cindy Leon standing outside a red car. She admitted to firing her pistol in order to intimidate someone who was threatening to fight her. No injuries were reported, and no further details were provided by the authorities. Leon was charged with reckless discharge of firearm, and the investigation was ongoing as of the latest updates on the matter. Number 11. Pearl Gonzales. 44-year-old Pearl Gonzales was arrested in San Antonio, Texas in October of 2022 following several outbursts of jealous rage during which she viciously assaulted her girlfriend. At some point, Gonzales got angry that her partner was talking to someone else. She grabbed the woman by the neck and squeezed her with such force that her nails tore into the victim's skin. Gonzales eventually let her go, and as the victim gasped for air, she told her to stop breathing so heavy. When her girlfriend started crying, Gonzales pressed a knife to her neck and told her to stop, or she knew what would happen. Later on, while they were at a methadone clinic, Gonzales again flew into a rage and accused her girlfriend of looking at someone else before striking her in the face with a metal lockbox. The victim ran off and alerted the police when Gonzales was called back into the clinic. The woman was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and assault by strangulation. Number 10. Penelope Roth. On July the 1st of 2022, Penelope Roth approached an unnamed man as he was getting out of his truck in a neighborhood near Warren Stage Road and Cross Mountain Trail in San Antonio, Texas. 20-year-old Roth asked the man if she could borrow a phone charger, and he agreed to help her. However, as he was connecting her phone, a teenager later identified as AJ Delgado approached him with a gun and demanded his keys. The victim initially complied, but after Delgado got into the driver's seat, he fought him for control of the gun and bit him in the arm in the process. The man momentarily gained the upper hand, but a second thug then hit him from behind before Roth struck him in the head with a brick. After the victim was incapacitated, Delgado fled the scene in his truck while the other suspects took off in a Kia Optima. The stolen vehicle was found a few blocks away with a flat tire. The Optima, which had also been reported stolen, was recovered later in the day. Both Delgado and Roth were arrested in the incident's wake and charged with aggravated robbery. The victim picked them out of a photo lineup. When he was arrested, Delgado had a bite mark on his arm, confirming the victim's report on the altercation. Roth was easily identifiable via her face tattoos, one of which was a teddy bear on her cheekbone. Number 9. Callie Bryan. Louisiana woman Callie Bryan led multiple law enforcement departments on a high-speed chase On February the 19th of 2022, she was behind the wheel of a stolen SUV and had 2 passengers in the vehicle. A deputy attempted a traffic stop while Bryan was traveling down Highway 15, but the 31-year-old kept driving. During the pursuit, she ran red lights, crossed into the opposing lanes, and reached speeds of up to 90 miles per hour. She eventually pulled into the parking lot of the West Monroe Hotel, where she ran over a small tree and crashed into a parked vehicle. The West Monroe Police Department, along with the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office, converged around the parking lot. Bryan and her companions attempted to flee on foot but were quickly apprehended. The woman admitted to stealing the SUV and claimed that she didn't stop because she was scared. She was booked into the Ouachita Correctional Center with her bond set at $22,000. She faced multiple charges, including resisting an officer, theft of a motor vehicle, and felony flight from an officer. The most recent incident marked Bryan's 9th arrest over a 2-year period. Number 8. Megan Hawkins. In May of 2019, a woman walked into the Safe Credit Union along the 9100 block of Bruceville Road in Elk Grove, California. She used another person's ID to try and open a checking and savings account. Someone in the bank then recognized the woman as Megan Monster Hawkins. She'd appeared on the Netflix series Jailbirds, which followed the lives of real inmates following their sentences at the Sacramento County Jail. When she was featured on the series, Hawkins was doing time for grand theft auto, check fraud, and drug offenses. She was released before the show premiered. "I can't thank them enough for wanting to talk to me because it's helped change my life," the woman told a media outlet at the time. While attempting to open an account at the Safe Credit Union, Hawkins was recognized and the police were called. She left before officers arrived at the scene, but they learned that the vehicle she was driving had been reported stolen. When officers caught up with her a short distance from the bank, they searched the vehicle and found several credit cards in different people's names. Hawkins was also in possession of a controlled substance. Around the same time that Jailbirds made its premiere, the 29-year-old was back behind bars. She was charged with possession of a stolen vehicle, unlawful use of personal identifying information, and violating her probation. In a jailhouse interview, Hawkins maintained her innocence and spoke about the impact that Jailbirds had had on her life, saying, everywhere I go, somebody notices me. They want to take pictures. They want my autograph." However, she also expressed concerns regarding her newfound fame and how it would affect her latest case, telling the interviewer, "Because I'm on the Netflix documentary, I feel like it's like the perfect opportunity for them to really slap the book at me. And that's like what I'm nervous about." Number 7. Tierra Richardson. On Thanksgiving 2024, a 3-vehicle crash took place in the western Las Vegas Valley. It involved a 2003 Nissan Altima, driven by 23-year-old Tierra Richardson, as well as a Ford F-150 truck and a Pontiac GTO. Investigators determined that Richardson, who was believed to be under the influence, was heading south on Fort Apache, while the other vehicles were traveling north. At some point, Richardson crossed the lane and struck the front of the Ford before smashing into the Pontiac's left side. The latter vehicle's driver, 50-year-old Tiffany Price, was ejected from her seat and landed in the landscaping. Price was rushed to the University Medical Center, where she was later pronounced dead. Richardson was also taken to UMC along with her passenger, who was left with serious injuries that included a shattered femur. The 3 occupants of the Ford weren't harmed to a significant degree, and they reached the hospital on their own. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police met Richardson at the hospital and interviewed her as part of a DUI investigation. They observed that her speech was mumbled, confused, and slow, in addition to her exhibiting bloodshot, watery, and droopy eyes. According to the police, her attitude during their interaction was at times aggressive and combative. Officers found that Richardson was driving with a suspended license and registration, and that her vehicle didn't have proof of insurance. The woman was arrested and charged with 6 counts, including DUI and reckless driving, resulting in death and substantial bodily harm. Number 6. Crystal Gonzales.
No kind of error going on in there. There's a key in there.
In the summer of 2018, Crystal Gonzales was arrested for leaving her 2 young children in a parked car during a California heat wave. On a July evening, officers headed to the scene in the parking lot of a Walmart in Ontario. They were called by a store security guard who'd noticed concerned bystanders gathered around the GMC. Officers found the children inside the car, where they'd been left for at least half an hour. The vehicle wasn't running and it didn't have air conditioning on. The infants were in obvious distress, but they were safely taken out of the GMC and placed with Child Protective Services. The rescue carried out by firefighters and the police was captured on cell phone video. 34-year-old Gonzales was taken into custody and charged with child endangerment. She reportedly told the authorities that the children were asleep and that she didn't want to wake them before her shopping trip. Ontario police issued a statement and reminded residents that leaving an infant or toddler unattended in a vehicle at any time is a violation of the law. The authorities emphasized that doing so during these extreme temperatures can cause serious injury or death. Number 5. Malyra Perez. On the evening of December the 4th of 2016, Florida woman Malyra Perez broke into an apartment in Green Acres and held 2 residents at gunpoint, demanding they give her prescription painkillers. The victims would later report that they knew the 23-year-old for years, adding that they didn't immediately alert the authorities because they feared retaliation. One of the men said that Perez told him she'd killed someone and might be going away for the crime. A few days later, on December the 7th, law enforcement located Perez as she was driving an SUV on Military Trail in suburban West Palm Beach. A chase ensued during which the woman accelerated to speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Perez threw a gun out the window of the vehicle as the pursuit unfolded and then parked her car behind a CVS pharmacy south of Forest Hill Boulevard and west of Haverhill Road. She threw another gun into a nearby lake and stuffed the brown backpack under the SUV. Perez then hid in some bushes in the area, but she was ultimately taken into custody. In her backpack, the police found 4 guns and a wide variety of drugs that included heroin, painkillers, MDMA, and Xanax pills. According to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office report, Perez declined to make a statement during the arrest, and her single request was for officers to give her a Xanax pill from her bag. The woman was a known drug dealer who'd been arrested 10 times on drug-related charges since December of 2010, following a conviction for burglary, grand theft, and possession of drugs. She served a prison term from January to July of 2016. The mugshots that preceded the January sentence all showed Perez without any facial ink, but after her jail stint, she had several tattoos that included a bullseye on her cheek, an eye in the center of her forehead, and the word FAME above her eyebrow. An investigation was launched in the wake of her most recent arrest, and Perez became the main suspect in a recent homicide. 4 days before she was taken into custody, 28-year-old Jose Armando Lopez was executed at point-blank range at the Briarwood Mobile Home Park off Lake Worth Road near Green Acres. A relative of Lopez told the police that they were sitting on the patio on December the 3rd when a woman approached them and shot Lopez dead. His autopsy indicated that the gun had been pressed against his neck before it was fired. After obtaining the required search warrants, the authorities connected Perez to the scene by verifying witness statements with surveillance camera footage from area businesses and location data from the woman's phone. A light-colored Hyundai sedan, which was rented to Perez's girlfriend, was captured on CCTV in the area of the shooting. A stain found on the passenger seat of the vehicle proved to be a match for Lopez's blood. On December the 7th, when Perez was arrested for armed burglary, as well as fleeing and eluding law enforcement, one of the guns that the police recovered became a potential match for the weapon used to kill Lopez. A DNA analysis of the pistol found that the victim's DNA could not be excluded from the barrel, and that Perez's DNA could not be excluded from its wood grip. Additionally, a number of individuals pointed to Perez as the potential shooter, including her girlfriend, who said it was believable she'd murdered Lopez. In recorded jailhouse calls, Perez asked the woman how much she'd told detectives, at which point the latter apologized, saying, "I had to do what I had to do," after weeks of gathering evidence. The authorities charged Perez with first-degree murder. A definitive motive wasn't established, but the main theory was that Lopez was dealing drugs on Perez's territory. As reported by the victim's girlfriend, he was kidnapped in the week before his death. Unknown assailants put a bag over his head, beat him up, and warned him not to sell in the area anymore. In 2020, after 3 years behind bars, Perez took a plea deal and admitted second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 40 years in prison with a minimum custodial term of 25 years. Number 4. Marlene Olivera Dasilva. Jose Alfredo Martinez and Marlene Olivera Dasilva were arrested in June of 2024 and charged with 2 counts each of facilitating drag racing in Miami-Dade County, Florida. Martinez had been coordinating intersection takeovers in Miami-Dade and Broward County since June of 2022. He faced a plethora of charges in at least 4 separate illegal street racing cases. The events were attended by hundreds of participants and spectators. They showed up at various locations in their cars and blocked lanes of traffic while racing, drifting, or doing donuts and other dangerous stunts. During the most recent incident, Martinez posted a flyer on Instagram for an intersection takeover. He and 31-year-old Dasilva, who ran the main account for reposting and sharing the flyers, recruited participants through a Telegram chat. The duo gave addresses for the takeovers, one in Hialeah and another in Opa-locka. Unaware that the authorities were monitoring their communication, officers in unmarked vehicles broke up the Hialeah takeover, causing vehicles that were blocking the road to disperse. Law enforcement knew that Martinez drove a 2013 black Dodge Charger. They located and stopped the vehicle as it was en route to the Opa-locka address. Martinez and Dasilva were arrested without incident. Police noted in the arrest form that there were no more takeover locations shared on the social media accounts after the duo was taken into custody. Number 3. Grace Kelley. Throughout 2024, Grace Kelley, the daughter of country music legend Wynonna Judd, was arrested multiple times across several states before her activity culminated with the theft of a church van in October. The chain of her offending started with an arrest in Alabama on April the 5th. Kelley exposed her breasts and lower half at a busy intersection in Millbrook while holding up a sign offering a ride for a ride. When officers made contact with her, Kelley refused to identify herself and argued with them, claiming it was not illegal for her to offer herself in exchange for rides. Officers initially gave the woman a chance to walk away without incident. Kelley, who had an extensive history of drug abuse, went to a Circle K gas station about an hour later and caused a disturbance with customers. The 27-year-old then returned to the side of the highway with her sign and resumed flashing her body, resulting in her arrest. She was not appropriately dressed. She didn't have the things covered that needed to be covered. Millbrook Police Chief P.K. Johnson later told a media outlet, while no drugs were found on Kelley, Johnson suspected that her behavior was influenced by illegal substances. In her booking photo, the woman's face appeared to be swollen and bruised, with her right eye nearly shut from inflammation. Kelley was arrested on charges that included soliciting escort services, indecent exposure, and obstructing government operations. She pleaded guilty to the former charge after it was reduced to public lewdness and to obstructing government operations. She was given a $200 fine with a 90-day suspended jail sentence on the first charge, while the second resulted in her being jailed for 60 days. Judd, a 5-time Grammy Award winner with millions of records sold, didn't publicly comment on her daughter's struggles. A source revealed at the time that the country singer felt distraught and powerless, and that she was prepared to take custody of Kelley's daughter, Callie, if needed. Kelley was released in May and then arrested again on August the 3rd in Georgia. She was booked in Carroll County Jail on charges of fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, driving with a suspended or revoked license, and not using motorcycle equipment properly. Her mugshot showed her sporting a cropped, platinum blonde haircut and face tattoos, including the word forbidden above her right eye. Kelley was released on bond, but her legal troubles resumed in October in Virginia. On the 27th of the month, she stole a van from 31-year-old Kent Hart, leader of the Ground Zero Church of the Nazarene. In the evening, the man was talking to his daughter in the kitchen of his Scottsville area home. He suddenly saw his van moving down the driveway. While still wearing his pajamas, Hart got into his Chevrolet Yukon and went after Kelley. He boxed her in at the side of Rolling Road after she crashed in a ditch. The pastor got out, banged on the side of the van's window, telling Kelley to get out. By his account, the woman didn't say a word and just shook her head no. She revved the engine, dislodged the wheel upon leaving the ditch, and drove away again. Hart pursued her while calling 911. Albemarle police officer Corey Legg initiated a traffic stop at Massey Branch Lane, just south of Simeon, putting an end to the chase. During the arrest, Kelley told the officer that a man had run out of the vehicle and into the woods. However, upon reviewing his dash cam footage, Legg determined that Kelley was the sole occupant of the pilfered vehicle. She made further bizarre statements during the booking process, including that she had sold her soul to the devil. She was taken to the University of Virginia Medical Center, where she tested positive for heroin. Kelley's mugshot showed that she had again changed her appearance, opting for a buzz cut. Hart suspected that the woman had slipped into his trailer while he was watching his son play baseball at a ballpark in Charlottesville. Hart remembered that he left the trailer unlocked after grabbing some blankets for spectators who were cold. The man said that it was freaky to think that Kelley was inside his trailer as he was driving the van home with his 3 children as passengers. Nevertheless, the pastor stated that he and his family had forgiven Kelley and that his church dedicated a service to praying for her, hoping it could be part of her healing process. The pastor also started a fundraiser for a new van After Kelley had totaled his vehicle during the pursuit, the woman faced 7 fresh charges, including 3 felony counts of grand larceny. Her 2024 run-ins with the law weren't her first. In 2017, Kelley pleaded guilty to the manufacturing, delivery, sale and possession of meth in Tennessee's Williamson County Court. She was given an 8-year prison sentence the following year.
As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and maybe it will be your video that we'll be doing next.
Number 2. Katie Malone. In the spring of 2024, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office received a tip from KIK, a messaging app that allowed users to remain anonymous about content depicting abuse. According to a law enforcement report, the tip included suspect identifiers and multiple colored photographs and videos of a girl subjected to abuse of an intimate nature. The victim was nonverbal, and she was seen in multiple videos, vocal stimming and wearing sensory headphones. The suspect carrying out the molestation was identified as 34-year-old Katie Malone. She was arrested in April of 2024, and in an interview captured on body cam, she admitted to knowing the girl was nonverbal. According to updates from February of 2025, Malone was convicted on multiple charges, including human trafficking, battery, lewd and lascivious molestation, and child abuse-related charges. Malone was given a 40-year sentence. She was designated a predator and would have to register as an offender for life. Number 1. Shandra Rathke. Texas woman Shandra Rathke was in the process of being booked at the El Paso County Jail on December the 30th of 2024. Rathke was being detained following a bond revocation pertaining to a controlled substance possession charge. During the routine search that followed, a deputy noticed that the 34-year-old was trying to conceal her right arm while acting evasively. Moments later, Rathke attempted to place something in her mouth. The deputy stopped her before she could ingest the item, which turned out to be a bag containing 2.64 grams of methamphetamine. Rathke was charged with the introduction of contraband and unlawful possession of a controlled substance. The incident prompted Sheriff Joseph Roybal to issue a stern warning to would-be drug smugglers. He said, "As we enter the new year, I want to make it absolutely clear, if you bring dangerous contraband into my jail, you will be held accountable." Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on one of the links on your screen for more videos.